So this teenager goes on Facebook Live and absolutely eviscerates her ex-boyfriend, like she held nothing back. Talked about his living situation, his employment status, or lack thereof, and even got into some bedroom details that had the comment section looking like a crime scene.
Y'all, this nigga got me so up. Like, I just woke up. I'm talking about 20 messages back to back, screenshots. This nigga talk about you, this and that, this and that. Like, man, this nigga a hoe 11 years older than me. I'm 17, he 28. What the is you doing on Facebook? Over here trying to, you feel me? Like, you make yourself look stupid. This nigga mad because I don't want to come over his house because he got fleas. Like, I really need a brother so he can go over there and beat his ass. Like, this nigga don't got no car. He don't got no house. He live with his sister and his mama. Like, I'm not about to keep doing this with the same nigga. Like, this nigga already fucking, where my restraining order at? He already violating his restraining order. Like, baby, I do not do this. Like, do not get on Facebook popping it about. Add me too. Sis, you want to go live? Yeah, Paige, how you add people?
11 days later, she was dead. Shot in the head by the same man she'd just humiliated in front of thousands. Now, I know what you're thinking. Why would she post that? Didn't she know he was dangerous? And that's exactly the question everyone asked. But I got a better one for you. This man, Trendell Goodwin, 28 years old, had been arrested 15 times for violence against women. So why was a grown man with 15 arrests more worried about his reputation than his rap sheet? And why was he free to have his feelings hurt in the first place? The LaShonda Childs did everything the system tells you to do when you're being abused. Well, almost everything. Because publicly dragging your abuser on Facebook Live, that's not in the safety manual. But she was smart enough to have left. She reported it. She got restraining orders. She documented everything. She even predicted her own death on social media. And she still ended up in a morgue 2 days before her 18th birthday. LaShonda Cherise Childs was born October 5th, 2000 in Dayton, Ohio. And from day one, this girl was driven. Like...
Dollar sign, hope it's on my other line. Ain't lying.
The kind of driven that makes you tired just watching her. By 17, she wasn't just working, she owned her own business. The Beauty Blender LLC, eyebrow waxing, hairstyling, nail design, makeup application, the whole nine. Most teenagers at 17 are figuring out prom dates and college applications. LaShonda was running a business, building a clientele, and planning her future as a professional cosmetologist. She had goals, she had ambition. She had a plan. But there's always one thing that derails even the smartest women, right? A man who sees your potential and decides he'd rather destroy it than watch you outgrow him. September 2017. LaShonda meets Trendell Lamont Goodwin on social media. And let me tell you about Trendell real quick, because his name alone should have been a warning. Trendell. That's not a name. That's what happens when your mama can't decide between Trent and Wendell. So she just mashes them together and hopes for the best. But the name wasn't even the biggest lie. When they met, Trendell told LaShonda he was 20 years old. He was 28. Now, some of y'all might be thinking, 8 years isn't that big a deal. Okay, but she was 17. He was nearly 30. That's not a relationship. That's a predator doing math. You don't lie about your age to a high schooler unless you know no teenager in her right mind would date a man pushing 30. That's hunting strategy, not romance. And LaShonda? She believed him. Because why wouldn't she? She's 17. He's giving her attention, telling her she's mature for her age, acting like she's special. That's the playbook. And it works every single time. So they start dating in September 2017. At first, everything probably seemed fine. He was attentive. He was interested in her work. He supported her business dreams. Classic love bombing. But it didn't take long for the mask to slip. Trendle had a history that could fill a police filing cabinet. Since 2011, he'd been arrested 15 times. And not for traffic tickets or unpaid parking fines. We're talking violence against women. His mother, his sister, ex-girlfriends. This man had been terrorizing women for 7 years, and the system kept letting him walk. But LaShonda didn't know all that yet. What she did know was that her 20-year-old boyfriend, remember she still thought he was 20, was getting possessive fast. He started calling her 70 times a day. 70. That's not love. That's a full-time job. That's waking up, checking your phone, and seeing more missed calls than a customer service hotline. Her mama Nina said it was aggravating, annoying, and scary. And if your mama is using the word scary, you need to listen. Then LaShonda found out the truth about his age.
Like, man, this nigga a whole 11 years older than me. I'm 17, he 28.
She's 17, running a business, going to school. And the man she thought was 20 is actually pushing 30. Living with his sister and his mama. No car, no job. Calling her 70 times a day. That math stopped mathing real quick. But here's where things get complicated. Because when you're 17 and you're in deep, finding out you've been lied to doesn't always make you leave. Sometimes it makes you stay longer because you're trying to make sense of why you didn't see it sooner. Christmas Eve 2017. Trendle accuses LaShonda of texting another man. In his mind, she's cheating. In reality, she probably just responded thank you to someone who said bless you when she sneezed. But Trendle doesn't need evidence, he needs control. So he throws a drink at her, in front of her family. Then he tries to drag her out of the car by her feet, like she's a piece of luggage he's retrieving from the trunk. This is Christmas Eve, y'all. Silent night? More like violent night. 2 months earlier, in another fit of jealousy, he'd smashed her phone against a wall and threw her purse into a sewer, over text messages. Let that marinate for a second. He destroyed her property and literally put her belongings in a sewer because he thought she was talking to someone else. Now, I need to pause here and say something that's gonna make some of y'all uncomfortable. If a man destroys your phone and throws your belongings in a sewer, that's not your cue to work harder on the relationship. That's your cue to run. But LaShonda was 17, and when you're that young and you think you're in love, you convince yourself that this was the wake-up call he needed. Next time will be different. He'll change. He promised. Except he never does. January 31st, 2018. LaShonda tells Trendle she wants to go hang out with a friend. You know, like normal teenagers do. His response? He slaps her across the face. Then it escalates. He threatens to knock her out. Then he kicks her out of his house. Remember, the house he shares with his mama and sister. And he kicks her out with barely any clothes on. So LaShonda, half-dressed, has to go to the neighbors for help. But she needs her stuff, right? So she goes back to get her belongings. Bad move. Trendle drags her back inside the house and won't let her leave. Won't. Let her leave. The police show up because neighbors heard the commotion. And when they get there, they can hear LaShonda screaming from inside the house, yelling that he won't let her out. The police had to force the door open to get to her. Trendle gets arrested. Finally, right? Wrong. February 19th, 2018. They're back together. I know. But this is what abuse does. It messes with your head so bad that going back feels safer than staying gone. So they're together, and Trendle's jealous again. This time, it's about text messages involving another woman. The irony of him being mad about texts when he's the one monitoring her phone 24/7 is not lost on me. So he hits her in the face. Then he bites her on the left shoulder. Not a little love bite. A bite. Hard enough to leave a mark that the police described as a fresh bite mark. Her face was swollen. She had abrasions on her neck. Her nose was bleeding. Now, I thought about making a vampire joke here, but honestly, that bite wasn't romantic. That was animalistic. That was, I'm going to mark you so nobody else wants you territory. That was territorial behavior you see in wildlife documentaries, not relationships. Trendle gets arrested again. This time, he's sentenced to 180 days in jail. Finally, some real consequences, right? He served 19 days. 19. This man assaulted a minor. Because let's be clear, LaShonda was still 17. And he got less time than it takes to binge watch a TV series. But wait, it gets worse. Because while Trendle is sitting in that cell for his 19-day vacation, LaShonda does something that's going to haunt this case forever. She writes a letter to Judge Daniel Garris. Yeah, I'm saying his name. Because we're calling people out today. Asking the judge to release Trendle from jail. In this letter, she calls him genuinely kind-hearted and family-oriented. Girl. He bit you. The police had to break down a door to save you. What part of that screams family man? The only family activity this man knows is domestic violence. And that's not a value, that's a crime. Now, before anybody comes at me, I know LaShonda was 17. I know she was trauma bonded. I know abusers condition their victims to protect them, even after they've been hurt. That's abuse 101. But we also have to talk about the fact that this letter is part of the reason Judge Garris let him out after only 19 days. So here's my question. If a teenager writes a letter to free her abuser, and the judge believes it despite the evidence in front of him, who made the worst decision? The traumatized 17-year-old, or the grown man with a law degree looking at a defendant with 15 prior arrests? Because from where I'm sitting, we're expecting teenagers to make better choices than judges. And that's insane. So Judge Garris releases Trendle after 19 days, slaps him with probation, and orders him to stay 500 feet away from LaShonda. And for about 5 seconds, everyone probably thought, okay, maybe this time. September 13th, 2018. 3 days after the judge extended his probation, Trendle shows up at LaShonda's house, grabs her wig, sets it on fire, then throws the burning wig at her, causing actual burns on her body. Then steals her phone and runs off. So we've graduated from biting to literal arson. That's growth, just not the kind anyone was hoping for. 2 days later, September 15th, he shoots up her family's house. Bullets. Into the house where she lives with her family. And somehow, he's still walking around free. September 20th, just 1 day before LaShonda's viral post, prosecutors dismissed the charges against him. For good cause shown. I'd love to know what good cause exists when a man has just committed arson and fired shots into a house. But apparently, the justice system was too busy to explain. September 21st, 2018. LaShonda has had enough. She goes on Facebook and makes a post that would eventually be shared 47,000 times. She lists everything. The phones he broke, the windows he busted, how he followed her everywhere, bit her, threw her into walls, made her walk with a gun to her back, held her hostage, set her hair on fire, shot up her house. And she ends it with, "Domestic violence is real, not just in movies. I ain't even safe in my own house." That post went viral. Thousands of people saw it, including Trendell, who decided the best response to being publicly exposed was to expose himself even more, using his Facebook alias Trenny Mac, because apparently Trendell wasn't embarrassing enough. He comments, "If y'all really believe this stuff, y'all sick. This the 12th or 13th time she said, 'I did something but still coming back.' Sir, you just admitted she left you 12 times. That's not her being confused, that's you being terrifying." But then someone tells him to let her breathe, to leave her alone. And he responds with what can only be described as a public death threat. "I'ma let her breathe today. She better come home tomorrow, though. I got a big day planned and some good news." A woman who wasn't even involved, just someone who commented on LaShonda's post, was so scared by his threats that she went to the police on September 22nd to report that he'd threatened to kill her too, just for suggesting he get help. So now he's threatening random strangers on the internet. But sure, let's keep letting him walk around free. What could possibly go wrong? October 2nd, 2018. 11 days after that Facebook post, LaShonda and her new boyfriend are sitting in a parked car on Sh0t Avenue. She thought, and I need you to hear how tragic this is, she thought they were meeting Trendell to talk, to finally get him to leave her alone. Her family said he'd lured them there, promising it would be a chance to move on. Instead, Trendell shows up with a gun. LaShonda makes a frantic 911 call, telling the dispatcher he's got a gun pointed at her boyfriend's head, that she has a restraining order, that the police told her to call when she sees him. She's begging them to send someone.
We've obtained the 911 call she made to police claiming a man was holding a gun to her boyfriend.
That 911 call was obtained today. We're choosing not to play the audio, however, because LaShonda Childs was a minor when she made the call. However, we can share much of what she said. As we've been reporting over the past 2 days, Dayton police responding to a home on Sh0t yesterday for an alleged violation of a protection order that matches with Child's 911 call, in which she tells the dispatcher, quote, "This dude's got a gun pointed to my boyfriend. I got a restraining order on him. The police told me to call them when I see him." And then later, she also adds, quote, "I can't talk. I'm in a bad situation. People can't talk in every situation. Officer, send somebody. I got a protection order against this dude, and he's got a gun."
But here's where the system fails her one final time. The dispatcher logs this call as a protection order violation, not an active armed threat. A violation. Like he's just standing too close at the grocery store or something. That categorization slowed the response. While LaShonda's still on the phone, she and her boyfriend try to drive away. Trendell opens fire. Multiple shots into the car. One bullet hits LaShonda in the head. Her boyfriend rushes her to Grandview Medical Center. By the time police get to the address she gave them, she's already at the hospital, fighting for her life. October 3rd, just before 9 a.m., one day after the shooting, 2 days before what would have been her 18th birthday, LaShonda Childs dies from that gunshot wound, 17 years old, gone. Because everyone who was supposed to protect her decided his freedom mattered more than her life. Trendell gets arrested within hours. Charged with murder, felonious assault, discharge of a firearm. His bail is set at $1 million, and for once, he stays locked up. October 5th, LaShonda's 18th birthday, her family is in court watching Trendell's arraignment instead of celebrating.
17-year-old LaShonda Childs was shot on Tuesday and died early Wednesday. Those closest to her is still mourning a death that came too soon. LaShonda Childs should have been turning 18 years old today. Police say her life was taken by 28-year-old Trendell Goodwin, who family has described as an ex-boyfriend. On her birthday, Devin Harris shows us a fresh tattoo. R.I.P. LaShonda.
That's what he stole. Not just her life, but every birthday, every milestone, every dream she had. The trial was set for 2019, but Trendell takes a plea deal. 18 years to life. He'll be eligible for parole in 2038. Of course, after he signs the deal, he tries to back out, claiming his lawyer misled him about the sentence. When his new lawyer tells him going to trial could mean 40 to life, suddenly that plea deal looks pretty good again. Her brother Jalen said it best. Whatever happens to him, we can't get our sister back. But as long as justice is served, there may be some peace. Except there is no justice here. Justice would have been Trendell being locked up after arrest number 3. Justice would have been Judge Garris taking those 15 prior arrests seriously. Justice would have been that 911 dispatcher logging an armed threat correctly. Justice would have been LaShonda celebrating her 18th birthday. Here's what nobody wants to admit. LaShonda did almost everything right. She left. She reported. She got restraining orders. She documented everything. And the one thing she did wrong, going public on Facebook. That's only wrong, because we live in a world where speaking up gets you killed. So maybe the real question isn't why she posted that video. Maybe it's why we keep telling women to stay silent when silence doesn't save them either. Maybe it's why judges keep giving violent men chance after chance, while their victims get exactly one mistake before they're dead. LaShonda Childs deserved better. Her family deserved better. And honestly, we all deserve better than a system that waits for women to die before it starts caring. If this story made you as angry as it should, hit that subscribe button, because I'm not done telling these stories. Drop a comment. Especially if you disagree with how I covered this, I actually want to hear it. And share this video, because LaShonda's story needs to be heard by more than just the algorithm. Rest in peace, LaShonda. You deserve to turn 18.